Hey, so this week we get to display a bunch of images on our page. My other video is about how to find images of the same size that are Creative Commons that you can provide your information about where you found them and what kind of license they have. So the other thing I don't know if I did was for the images that you find, you can right click on them, go to the bottom, and you might remember this from when we worked with images earlier. If you look at properties, that's where you can double check what the dimensions are, the width and the height. So I copied all mine from Wikipedia Commons. They're all 256 pixels wide and 191 pixels tall. So that's what I have right here. But how did I get this info to display? Well, you have to figure out how to place this, and the way you need to do that is to start from the bottom. So I don't know if a lot of you remember the fig caption, but the fig caption is going to be part of the figure and it's going to be a description. So I want you to see what part of this is the fig caption. And the fig caption is, just like I said, underneath the photo. And in this we have a wrapper, but we're going to start from the bottom up to figure out what the wrapper size should be around all of our images. We have a header, and then each one of these has an entry that forces these images to the left. Each one of them includes a figure, and the figure is made up of an image and a fig caption which describes it. But how do you figure out the sizing for each of these? Well, you don't need to figure it out for the fig caption. So the next thing you have to figure out is, we just looked up how to decide what your image size is, the width and the height. You're going to put it up here in the styles area instead of putting your height and width here, down here with your pictures. And so remember, when you add your pictures, add your alt information, but don't add your width and height. Now we're going to do that all within our styles area, so that you see what your image area takes up. That one should be pretty obvious, but borders are a really good way to figure out what's going on your web page. So the blue is, of course, around a border around your image. Next, it's the figure. So what the heck is the figure? A figure should be a little bit bigger than the size of your image, so that it can encompass a little bit more, give it a little bit more space around your image and around your description or fig caption. So let's see what that really looks like, so you know why you're making it just a little bit bigger. So I'll try a purple color this time. So I'm going to save that so that you can see what is the figure. So see, it's a little tiny border is showing you the fig caption makes up a little bit of room around your image and around the description or fig caption of your image. So you can make that as big as you want, but this one's is really tiny. I only added like 4 pixel difference between the width and a little bit of difference between the height, so that there's a little more space on the height to give some more room here on the description. So I started from the bottom with the size for my image that I already knew, then my figure. Now this entry thing, I made the entry a little bit bigger too, but what is it? So this is going to be what's going to force your images to all move to the left. But each time you want to set up a size of one of these items, you have to have a width. So far we've had a lot of widths and heights, except the fig caption's the only one we haven't, because it's included as part of the figure element. So it's about the only one we haven't. So I made the width, you can see, a little bit bigger than the figure. So let's see why I did that. And if we try another dark blue, looks like you could see that there's a dark blue edge here on the left corners. So that's what that is setting up, is the left alignment. And it floats to the left, and I have a little bit of a margin. Should be creating a margin between each of the images, and I made the height just a little bit bigger as well. and I have a background color gray, so that one's light gray. So I wanted you to see, and maybe I should make that a different color, so I don't know if yellow will show up or not. We'll try that so you can get another idea of what it's doing. Yeah, so yellow is just on the top and the left that you can really see it being applied. And that's how we got these little boxes inside of our background area to show up. So the next area that we styled was the header at the top and the heading. The header was part of the heading, but I had some margins above and below and a little bit, that's about it. And then what does the wrapper look like? Okay, I'll make the wrapper, I'll make that one red too so you can get an idea. This is supposed to be really big so that it gives some space where the center of this web page, that all of your headings and all of your images are centered in the middle of the page. And so I gave that a lot more room. That had 915 pixels, and they were using a lot smaller images. So the examples I have next to it are what the book was using. They had about 200 pixel images, and mine are 256. So I increased the size. So let's see what the wrapper is for. So the wrapper, you can see this vague red area now showing up outside of everything on the page. The heading as well as everything else. All these look like they have a little red area around them now. So the wrapper was the very top item around everything else on the page, including the header and including the entry, which was what was making everything, all the images and the figures slide to the left, as well as figures where included your image and your description, the fig caption. And then I had some credits at the bottom of mine, and you don't have to do that fancy stuff. I was just trying out some stuff, and that was what I put at the bottom. And at the very top, you can state what you want, your text color, your background color of the page, your font family. And so that's how I came up with all those different numbers. Start with the size of your images. Make every block after that just a little bit bigger, a little bit larger height. And it'll actually look really nice. So that's what I did, and I hope that helps, that you get an idea of where everything was located, how I put it on the page. But borders can really help you a lot figure out how someone set up their environment. And there's also lots of different ways that we could have done this, but since the book had already set this up using a fixed layout, I thought it'd be a good way for you to see how it works too. Good luck, and let me know if you have any questions. Hello, I'm trying to get to the stop button and it disappeared.